All right, let's talk about renter's insurance. You know, that thing you pay for every month, kind of for peace of mind. But what if that peace of mind isn't exactly real? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on the surprising gaps in your coverage, the things your policy doesn't cover that could literally cost you thousands.
So, be honest. When's the last time you actually read your policy? Yeah, I'm guessing it's been a minute. And look, here's the deal. What you don't know absolutely can hurt you. That fine print is just loaded with exclusions that can leave you with a massive bill when you're least expecting it.
And this really gets to the heart of the problem. So many of us, as renters, have this false sense of security. We think we're covered for pretty much everything, only to get a really nasty surprise the moment we actually need to file a claim. We're here to make sure that does not happen to you. Okay, so let's dig into your policy's big secret. I want you to think about your insurance like a safety net. It's supposed to catch you when things go wrong, right? But as we're about to see, it's a net that comes with some surprisingly large holes. Okay, if you remember one thing from this whole explainer, make it this. Your policy is built for the sudden and the accidental. You know, a burst pipe, a kitchen fire, a break-in. It is absolutely not for those slow burn, gradual problems. So if you've got a slow leak behind a wall that causes mold over 6 months, your policy will likely say, sorry, that's not our problem. This one distinction is the key to understanding almost every exclusion we're about to talk about.
All right, let's dive into two of the biggest and honestly most expensive misunderstandings that are baked into pretty much every policy out there. If you can wrap your head around these two things, trust me, you'll be way ahead of the game.
First up, this one seems simple, but it's so critical. Your landlord's insurance, that's for the building itself. The walls, the roof, the pipes inside the walls. Your policy, that's for your stuff inside that building. So if a fire torches the apartment, that's on your landlord's insurance. But if that same fire destroys your laptop, your couch, your clothes, that is all on you. So never ever assume your landlord's policy is going to cover your stuff. It just won't.
Okay, the second huge trap is a little piece of jargon called the sublimit. So you might see a big number on your policy, like, say, $30,000 of coverage. But, and this is a big but, hidden inside are these much smaller limits for certain types of things, like your jewelry or your fancy electronics.
And here's a perfect and kind of painful example of how this can bite you. Let's say the sublimit for jewelry is pretty typical, maybe around $1,500. Now, imagine someone breaks in and steals your $5,000 engagement ring. You'd think you're covered, right? Nope. The insurance company is only going to cut you a check for $1,500, and that's before your deductible. You're just out the other $3,500. This is exactly why you can't just look at that big total number on your policy.
All right, now that we've got those big ideas down, let's get into some of the nitty-gritty exclusions that pop up in regular, everyday life. These are the ones that make people throw their hands up and say, wait, what? I totally thought that was covered.
So let's fire through a few of these because they can be surprising. Your dog chews up your expensive sofa? Sorry, that's on you. You get a horrible bed bug or mice problem, the policy sees that as a maintenance issue, not a sudden accident, so nope, not covered. And this one is huge. Your roommate's laptop, their clothes, their furniture, none of it is covered by your policy. They absolutely need their own. Let me say that one more time just so we're clear. Your roommate needs their own insurance policy.
Okay, let's zoom out from the everyday stuff and talk about the big one, major disasters. A lot of people think their policy is this catch-all for any disaster, but the reality is it's written specifically to exclude massive events, what some people call acts of God. If you look at the fine print, you'll see specific phrases designed to get them off the hook for major catastrophes. You'll see something like earth movement. That's their catch-all term for earthquakes and landslides. And when it comes to water damage, the most important question is, where did the water come from? A pipe inside your apartment bursts? Probably covered. A river outside your apartment floods? Definitely not.
So, just to be absolutely crystal clear, your standard renter's policy does not cover floods or earthquakes or landslides. And often it won't even cover a sewer backup. If you live anywhere that's at risk for these things, you have to buy a completely separate, specific policy for it. Seriously, don't wait for the disaster to find out you're not covered.
Phew, okay, I know that was a whole lot of bad news. But here's the good part. Every single one of these holes in that safety net we've been talking about, they can be patched. It just takes a little bit of proactive work. Let's walk through the plan.
It really just comes down to 3 straightforward steps. Step 1, you've got to make a home inventory.
Just list what you own and what it's worth. And here's a pro tip while you're at it. Check your policy for the words replacement cost. That means they'll pay for a brand new TV. If it says actual cash value, they're only going to give you what your 5-year-old TV is worth today, which isn't much. The difference is massive. Step 2. For those really valuable things, you add something called a rider to cover its full value. And step 3, if you're in one of those high-risk zones, you just have to bite the bullet and buy that separate flood or earthquake policy.
Okay, to bring this all home, let's look at a super practical guide. Think of this as your personal action plan. We're going to match those common coverage gaps we found directly to their specific targeted solutions.
This table basically puts everything we just talked about in one place. So, you've got that engagement ring. The gap is the jewelry sublimit. The fix? Add a scheduled property rider. Running a side hustle from your apartment? Your business gear isn't covered. The solution is to get a business endorsement. Living in a basement apartment or flood zone? The gap is obvious, and the solution is a separate flood policy. And finally, you've got a roommate. The gap is all their stuff. The solution couldn't be simpler. They need their own policy. See? This is how you build that complete safety net, one smart move at a time.
So, here we are, right back where we started, but hopefully now things are a lot clearer. Your renter's insurance is an amazing tool, but it is not a magic shield. The only way to really truly be secure is to know what it doesn't do. So the real question for you is, are you just going to keep assuming you're covered, or are you going to take a few minutes to actually check for those holes in your safety net?